Well, boys, we know who's going to be in the East, the West. Still got some stuff to settle there. Vegas, Dallas, Nashville, and LA are all vying for the last 3 spots. Vegas pretty much in desperation mode right now. Everybody was wondering what's going to happen when Mark Stone comes back to the lineup. Vegas set a new record by sending 7 guys to the LTIR. A lot of these guys have been banged up. I think they were kind of just waiting to see how it played out. But then they were shut out by Edmonton Saturday while Dallas beat San Jose. So the Golden Knights, like I said, really got their work cut out for them. They're now 3 points behind LA for 3rd place in the Pacific. They do have a game in hand, but they're 4 points back of both Dallas and Nashville in the wild card. Those 2 teams have a game in hand. Logan Thompson is basically taking over the starters crease. Robin Lehner struggling a little bit. Pete DeBoer has totally handed over to Logan Thompson. There should be a few huge games down the stretch. Dallas and Vegas, April 26th. Hopefully that game will have some huge ramifications. It's the only game left among those 4 teams I just mentioned. It's the only head-to-head game for those 2 teams I just mentioned. I just fucking talked myself in a circle. Yeah, Dallas and Vegas are the only 2 teams.
You just gave me a concussion.
I did.
Yeah, I'm struggling. I got to recalibrate.
Right. Yeah, 4 teams I mentioned. You would think there'd be a few more games among those teams playing, but only Dallas and Vegas, the only 2 to go head-to-head. But
yeah, you already
either
said
way,
that.
who do you got going in, Biz? Who do you think makes it?
I said on the TNT broadcast, as much as I wanted Vegas in, and I thought that a few games ago they were going to get there, I think it's going to be LA. I think they're going to hold position. I think they have a pretty good strength of schedule coming up in their favor. Maybe one more playoff team, and then I think they finished their last 5 or 6 against non-playoff teams. I think RA's got it, and I was bang on. Keep the fucking change buzzing right now. And the loss to Vancouver killed them. They only got 1 point in 2 games against Vancouver when Vegas did. And then to get blown out and blanked by the Oilers was, I think, the nail in the coffin. And I don't know if we want to shift over to the Oilers first or kind of, pump LA's tires more and talk about Nashville. What do you want to talk about, RA?
I want to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights. This is like hockey karma for all the bullshit they've pulled in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
All the amount of trading guys, getting rid of guys. The grass is always greener. It's like, this is disgraceful if they miss the playoffs. And you could talk about injuries. Their power play has scored 1 goal in 9 games, dude. It's pathetic. And to have the roster they have and to have Stone out was a killer. And Pat, yes, they've missed all these guys. But for them not to make the playoffs is an absolute joke. And then you look at it like, oh, every year it's not good enough. Go to the Cup Finals, trade this guy. Fleury's gone. It's like, what are you doing? They've never been comfortable and confident with the team they've had, even though they've had some great teams. Now, all of a sudden, I don't think they're going to get in either. Now, LA has kind of been reeling, but their schedule is really going to help them in terms of the teams they're playing. They got to win these games. But for Vegas to go in and lose to Edmonton, Biz, and you're trying to say that's a knock, Edmonton might be the best team in the league right now.
No, I'm saying in a must-win situation to lay another egg.
Not even get a goal.
In which they'd been doing. Like, I mean, buddy, they won their games against Seattle, but they've laid a few eggs against teams that they've had to play well against. Like, I remember even I think it was 5 games ago where DeBoer was like, I don't even have answers for you. We were just flat out fucking brutal. I will agree with you on the hockey karma side of things with the lack of maybe loyalty. I think that from an unbiased and outside perspective, like taking that completely out of the way and just going, hey, this is fucking sports and this is how it goes, you'd probably be happy with the moves that they've made. Like, you need to establish that the fact that you have a number 1 center, you got to have depth at that position. You have to have, solid balanced lines. You have to have a good back end. Obviously where they went wrong, but they did so in order to kind of get Eichel, was getting rid of Fleury and the salary that he had. Goaltending is still kind of shaky ground in an area they do need to they need to really solidify that position. But I would say that if they don't make playoffs, I would then use next year coming in, having all that off time in order to get the team healthy and hit the reset button, establish that chemistry that you have kind of, as an organization, created that unsettling chemistry because of all the
any chemistry you've ever had, really.
That's fine. But what you're trying to build, though, is a Stanley Cup winner, right? You're trying to get the pieces in place to where you have those guys who can get you over the line. they had a magical year that first year, and every year over year they've regressed. And I completely agree with you. It's bad from a loyalty and affecting the culture, looking at all of that. But if you're taking that unbiased perspective, you're probably happy with the guys that you have in place to potentially get you there. I think that so this year was a shitstorm, dealt with all the fucking injuries. They didn't get Eichel till halfway through, coming back off the neck thing, getting piece by piece back, but then still not really having the full lineup cranking on all cylinders. They never had that opportunity one time this year. So that's why I say from a non-hater perspective, I'd say, yeah, no excuse that they miss playoffs, but I would say give everybody involved who made these decisions one more year to show if it can work. Coaching staff, personnel, all the way.
I bet you they have a new coach if they miss the playoffs next year.
You think they're going to fire DeBoer if they miss?
I think this owner's nuts, dude.
I think that at that point, then it's just like, then you've lost the plot completely. It's like you have just turned over at any fucking chance you got and just look for the scapegoat in order for you not to land on the grenade at one point. I think you got to fucking say, all right, are your moves done? Is everything good to go? Is this the squad? All right, address a few minor issues going into next season, but these are the guys. Let's keep everything stable and let's give them a full year kick at the can. For them to fire DeBoer after this type of season, I think it's just, well, who the fuck are you going to go get? And there's some people out there who are like, yeah, they don't believe in DeBoer. It's always DeBoer's fault. I don't know, man. I know he's had some pretty solid teams, but he went to this cup final with San Jose. Not really sure if they were expected to get there when they got there. He went with that New Jersey team where nobody probably thought they were going to go that year. And
bring in Torts.
I don't know. We went long on Vegas, but I think it's an important, franchise to talk about given all the superstars they have and the fact that they're not going to make playoffs. And it's been absolutely chaos from year one. And it's a strong fan base now who I'm sure are going to want some answers. And they are a fickle fan base too. They pick sides. They have their guys and their favorites. So going to be an interesting situation, but we talked about it last pod too. There could probably potentially be about 9, maybe even 10 vacant. Would you say vacant or non-vacant? Or vacant
coaching vacancies?
Coaching
like when the hotel says non-vacant,
I haven't took a breath in 4 minutes, so let me breathe and I'll think of the fucking word I'm thinking.
In I guess positive notes, well, not if you're Robin Leonard. I never even heard of this Logan Thompson. He's now their starter. He was undrafted. He played a year of Canadian University and then East Coast League up and down to AHL Coast, and now he's kind of taken over the spot. I mean, it's been a tough year for Leonard with injuries and everything else, but at least that's a guy who's getting a pretty cool chance to play in the NHL and doing well.
Biz, you just mentioned Edmonton. Might as well keep with that while
keep
we're going
your fucking positive stories off the goddamn timeline, Whit. We're here to talk about the drama, bitch.
It's fucking Easter Sunday.
I'm not breathing the rest of the pod. Fuck everybody.